I never expected my own sister to betray me like this. If a stranger had scammed me, maybe I could have brushed it off, but family? That was different. That kind of betrayal left a scar that didn't heal. I had always been the responsible one, the one who saved money, planned ahead, and never asked for help. Meanwhile, my younger sister Ashley had always been reckless. She lived paycheck to paycheck, made terrible financial decisions, and somehow always landed on her feet, usually with my help. I never thought twice about it. That was just how our family worked. She made mistakes, and I helped clean them up. But this time, she didn't just take advantage of me. She played me. It all started 6 months ago when Ashley called me in tears. I still remember the way her voice shook as she sobbed into the phone. She told me she had been diagnosed with a serious medical condition, something that, according to her, required urgent and expensive treatment. "I don't know what to do, Lauren," she had cried. "I don't have insurance that covers this, and if I don't start treatment soon, I don't even want to think about it." I could hear the panic in her voice, the desperation. I didn't hesitate. Without even asking too many questions, I told her I would help. After all, she was my sister. What else was I supposed to do? The next morning, I transferred her $45,000, money I had been saving for years for a down payment on my first house. It wasn't an easy decision, but I told myself I could always save more money. Ashley's life, her health, was more important. She thanked me over and over again, promising she would pay me back once she got back on her feet. I told her I wasn't even thinking about that. All that mattered was her getting better. For months, I checked in on her, asking how she was feeling, how the treatment was going. She always kept her answers vague, saying things like, "It's a process," or "I don't want to worry you with details." I trusted her. I never once thought to doubt her story. Until the day I saw something that made my stomach drop. I was scrolling through Instagram one evening after work when I saw it, a post from Ashley. A picture of a gorgeous, modern house, white with navy blue shutters, a landscaped yard, and a massive front porch. The caption? "New beginnings." At first I was confused. Maybe she had moved into a rental, maybe a friend's place, but then I clicked on the comments. Her friends were congratulating her, saying things like, "You deserve this," and "Can't wait to see the inside of your new home." And then I saw her reply, "Finally, a homeowner. Can't wait to have everyone over." Homeowner. My blood ran cold. I stared at the screen, reading the words over and over again, hoping I had misunderstood. But there was no mistake. My sister, who had sobbed to me about being sick and needing money for urgent medical treatment, had just bought a house, and she had used my money to do it. My hands trembled as I picked up my phone and called her. She answered on the third ring, her voice cheerful. "Hey sis, what's up?" I didn't even try to hide my anger. "Ashley, what the hell is this?" There was a pause. "What do you mean?" "Your post. You just bought a house?" My voice was shaking. "Where did you get the money for that, Ashley?" Another pause, then a nervous laugh. "Oh, that. Look, Lauren, it's not what you think." "Not what I think?" I cut her off, my heart pounding. "I gave you $45,000 for your treatment, and now you're posting pictures of your new house? Do you think I'm stupid?" She sighed, and suddenly her entire tone changed. The fake panic, the desperation from months ago, gone. Now she sounded annoyed, like I was the one being unreasonable. "Lauren, relax. It's just a house." "Just a house?" I could feel my face heating up. "You told me you were sick. You begged me for money." "I needed that money," she said defensively. "I was drowning in debt, and I knew you wouldn't help me if I told you the truth. But it's not like I stole from you, Lauren. You gave it to me." I was so stunned I couldn't even speak for a moment. My own sister had lied, manipulated me into giving her my life savings, and now she was acting like I was the problem, like I was the one overreacting. "Ashley," I said finally, my voice low and steady, "you will pay me back. Every single cent." She scoffed. "Lauren, come on. You have a great job. You'll be fine. You can save up again. But me? I needed this more than you. I finally have a fresh start. Why can't you just be happy for me?" I could feel my hands shaking. My pulse was pounding in my ears. I had never felt rage like this before. "I don't care what you needed," I said coldly. "That was my money, and I'm getting it back." She let out a sarcastic laugh. Yeah, and how do you plan to do that? I didn't answer, because I already knew exactly how. I hung up the phone and stared at my reflection in the window, my mind racing. My sister had played me, had lied to my face and laughed about it, but she had made one mistake. She thought I wouldn't fight back. She was wrong. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation, every text message, every moment I had spent worrying about Ashley. I thought about the nights I had stayed up, researching alternative treatments, considering taking time off work to fly out and be with her. I had truly believed she was fighting for her life while she was out house shopping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the Instagram post. The carefully curated photo of her beautiful new home, the smug caption, the comments from her friends cheering her on. I had sacrificed my dream so she could live hers, and now she was acting like it was no big deal. By morning, my exhaustion had settled into something colder, something more dangerous. I was done being the responsible, forgiving sister. I had been naive, but I wasn't stupid. Ashley thought she had won, that she could manipulate me like she always had, that I would be upset for a while and then eventually let it go. She had no idea who she was dealing with. The first thing I did was gather every piece of proof I had. I went through my bank statements and highlighted the $45,000 transfer I had sent to her account. I searched my messages for our conversations from 6 months ago, screenshotted every desperate plea, every promise she had made to pay me back. I even found a text where she had said, "I will give you every penny back, Lauren, I swear." Good, that would come in handy. Then I started digging into her new house. I found the listing online and checked the county's property records. The house had been purchased for $320,000. There was no way she had that kind of money on her own. A mortgage, which meant there were loan documents, which meant there was a paper trail. I kept digging, and within an hour I had what I was looking for. Ashley had used my money as the down payment. My $45,000 had been directly wired to the title company handling the purchase. It was right there in black and white. That was my way in. I wasn't a lawyer, but I had worked in finance long enough to understand contracts, and Ashley had just unknowingly given me the leverage I needed. If my money had been used in the purchase of the house, I had a potential legal claim to it. She had framed it as a loan in her texts, which meant I had the right to demand repayment. And if she refused, I could go after her house itself. I knew I needed professional advice, so I picked up my phone and called someone I hadn't spoken to in a while. Jessica Miller, an attorney I had worked with years ago on a financial fraud case. She answered on the second ring. "Lauren Mitchell," she said, "it's been a while. What's going on?" I took a deep breath. "I need legal advice about my sister." Jessica listened as I explained everything. How Ashley had tricked me, how she had used my money to buy a house, how she was now refusing to pay me back. I kept my voice steady, but I could feel my hands shaking as I spoke. There was something about saying it all out loud that made it even more infuriating. When I finished, there was a brief silence, then Jessica sighed. "Wow, she really played you." I clenched my jaw. "I know." "Well," she said, "the good news is you have options. You have written proof that she acknowledged the money as a loan, which means you can take legal action to recover it. Since your money was used as the down payment, you may even have a claim to equity in the house. If she refuses to pay, you could potentially put a lien on the property." A lien. The word sent a thrill through me. Ashley thought she was untouchable, but she had left herself wide open. "How do I start?" I asked. Jessica hesitated. "You could send a formal demand letter first, outlining that she has 30 days to repay you. If she ignores it, we move forward with legal action. But you need to be ready. This will get ugly." I almost laughed. Ugly? Ashley had already made this ugly. "Do it," I said. "Send the letter." Jessica agreed to draft it and send it out by the end of the week. Meanwhile, I prepared for what I knew was coming. My parents were going to freak out. Sure enough, it didn't take long. The day after Ashley received the letter, my mother called, her voice sharp with disapproval. "Lauren, what is this nonsense? Ashley just called me in tears saying you're threatening to take her house." I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. "Mom, she stole from me. I gave her that money because she told me she was sick and she used it to buy a house. That's fraud. My mother scoffed. It's family. You don't sue family. You know your sister has always struggled. She needed help. And I gave her help, I snapped. And she lied to me. She manipulated me into giving her my life savings. That wasn't a mistake, Mom. That was calculated. She was desperate, my mother argued. And now you're just gonna ruin her life over a little money? I actually laughed. A little money? Mom, it was $45,000. Do you know how long I worked to save that? My mother didn't respond. I could picture her pursing her lips, already deciding that I was being dramatic. This is going to tear our family apart, she said finally. No, Mom, I said coldly. Ashley did that when she lied to me. She let out a heavy sigh. I just don't understand why you're being so harsh. I clenched my fists, because if the situation were reversed, if I had stolen her money, you'd be calling me a selfish, horrible person, but because it's Ashley, you expect me to just let it go. Well, I'm not going to. She played the wrong person this time. Before she could say anything else, I hung up. For the first time in my life, I wasn't going to be the responsible big sister cleaning up Ashley's mess. This time, I was going to make her pay for what she had done. And she had no idea what was coming. Ashley didn't respond to the demand letter. She didn't text, didn't call, didn't even try to make up some excuse. Instead, she did exactly what I expected. She went crying to our parents, playing the victim. And now, the entire family was turning against me. It started with the passive-aggressive texts from my mother. Lauren, this is getting out of hand. Your sister is under a lot of stress right now. Do you really want to make things worse? Then came my father, who rarely got involved in family drama. I know you're upset, but isn't there a way to work this out without lawyers? We're family, Lauren. My aunt chimed in next, sending me a long-winded message about how holding grudges only leads to misery. Even my cousin Jason, who I hadn't spoken to in years, suddenly had an opinion. Wow, Lauren, suing your own sister? That's cold. Not one of them asked about my side of the story. Not one of them asked how I was doing after being scammed out of $45,000. They had already picked a side, and it wasn't mine. The final straw came when my mother left me a voicemail, her voice thick with guilt, tripping. Lauren, honey, I really think you should reconsider all of this. Your sister is devastated. She says she barely sleeps at night because of the stress you're putting her through. Do you really want to be the reason she loses her home? She's your sister. You two were so close growing up. I don't know what happened between you, but I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive her. I listened to the message twice, gripping my phone so tightly my knuckles ached. I was the one ruining Ashley's life? I was the one causing her stress? What about the stress I had been under for the past 6 months, thinking my sister was battling a life-threatening illness? What about the stress of watching my savings disappear while she picked out furniture for her new house? My mother wasn't asking me to reconsider because she believed Ashley was innocent. She was asking because she wanted everything to go back to normal, to keep the peace, to pretend this never happened. I was done pretending. I called Jessica that afternoon. She's ignoring the demand letter, I said flatly. Jessica didn't sound surprised. Of course she is. People like Ashley always think they can bluff their way out of things. And so what's next? We filed a lawsuit, Jessica said, and we put a lien on the house. A lien. A legal claim against Ashley's property. It meant that if she ever tried to sell the house, refinance it, or even take out a home equity loan, she wouldn't be able to, not without paying me back first. It would be like a financial landmine sitting under her dream home, waiting to explode. Do it, I said. The process took a few weeks, but when it was done, Ashley was officially trapped. The lien was public record, which meant anyone who looked into her property would see it. I didn't tell her about it. I wanted her to find out the hard way. And she did. I was at work when my phone rang. Ashley's name flashed across the screen. I almost let it go to voicemail, but at the last second, I picked up. Lauren, she snapped, her voice filled with panic. What the hell did you do? I leaned back in my chair, keeping my voice calm. I don't know what you mean. Don't play dumb, she hissed. I just got a call from the bank. They said there's a lien on my house. My house, Lauren. Our house, I corrected, since I paid for part of it. You're insane, she shouted. Do you have any idea what you've done? I was about to refinance my mortgage to cover some bills, and now I can't because of your stupid lien. I smirked even though she couldn't see me. Sounds like a personal problem. You're ruining my life, she shrieked. I let out a cold laugh. Oh, Ashley, if you think this is me ruining your life, you have no idea what's coming next. She cursed under her breath, but I could hear the fear creeping into her voice. You can't do this. You don't have a right to my house. Legally? I do. And if you don't pay me back soon, I'll have the right to force a sale on the house just to recover my money. There was silence on the other end. I could practically hear her brain scrambling for a way out. Then she switched tactics. Her voice softened, suddenly sweet. Lauren, come on, we're sisters. We can work this out. I'll start paying you back little by little, okay? Just give me some time. I rolled my eyes. Ashley, you had 6 months. The time for that was before you ignored me, before you laughed in my face, before you let Mom turn the entire family against me. This isn't personal anymore, it's business. She let out a frustrated noise. Mom was right. You're heartless. I smiled. And you're broke. Good luck with that. Then I hung up. 3 days later, my mother called again. Lauren, she sighed as if she were speaking to a child. Ashley is trying to fix things. She told me she offered to pay you back and you refused. Now, honey, that just seems unreasonable. She's struggling. I took a slow breath, keeping my voice even. Mom, Ashley didn't offer to pay me back. She offered to throw me crumbs just to get me off her back, and I'm not interested. My mother huffed. She's doing her best. No, she's doing what she always does, avoiding consequences. There was a long pause, then my mother said, if you don't drop this, you're going to lose your family. For a split second, the words hit me hard. That was the real threat, wasn't it? It was never about the money. It was about keeping my role in the family, keeping the peace, keeping everything exactly how it had always been. My mother wanted me to fold. She wanted me to let Ashley get away with it. But then I realized something. I had already lost my family. They had chosen Ashley the moment they decided my pain didn't matter. They had chosen Ashley when they made excuses for her instead of holding her accountable. They had chosen Ashley when they let her keep what wasn't hers and called me the villain for trying to take it back. I felt an eerie sense of calm settle over me. Then, I guess I lose my family, I said quietly, but Ashley is going to lose a hell of a lot more. Then I hung up. That was the last time I answered my mother's calls. The next time Ashley and I would speak, it wouldn't be over the phone, it would be in court. The court summons was sent out 2 weeks later. I didn't tell Ashley it was coming. I wanted her to open that envelope and feel the same gut punch I had felt when I saw her Instagram post about her new house. I imagined her sitting in her perfect little living room, flipping through the pages, seeing her name in black and white next to the words defendant. I imagined the moment it hit her that this wasn't just some family squabble anymore. This was the legal system, and I wasn't backing down. I didn't have to wait long. 3 days after the papers were delivered, she showed up at my apartment unannounced. I knew it was her before I even opened the door. She was banging so hard I thought she might break the wood. I took my time, adjusting my expression into something neutral before unlocking it. Ashley shoved her way inside without waiting for an invitation. She looked furious, her eyes wild, her face flushed red. "Are you insane?" she spat. "You're actually suing me?" I closed the door behind her and folded my arms. "Yes." She let out a sharp, bitter laugh, pacing back and forth across my living room. "You've lost your mind. This is going to destroy everything. Do you even understand what you're doing?" "I understand perfectly." I kept my voice calm, which only seemed to make her angrier. "You're dragging me into court over money?" She practically shrieked the last word. "Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? My job does background checks, Lauren. If they see a lawsuit against me, I could get fired." I tilted my head slightly. "That sounds like a you problem." Ashley's jaw clenched. "This isn't just about me. Do you even care what this is doing to Mom and Dad? They're devastated. They're embarrassed. You're turning our family into a joke." I almost laughed. "I'm turning our family into a joke? Ashley, you scammed your own sister out of $45,000 and I'm the one embarrassing the family?" She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, scammed? You gave me that money, Lauren. It was a gift." I walked over to my coffee table, picked up my phone, and pulled up the screenshots of our old messages. I turned the screen toward her. You mean this conversation? The one where you explicitly said, I will give you every penny back, I swear? I scrolled to another. I promise I'll start paying you back in 6 months, Lauren. You can trust me. I met her eyes. That doesn't sound like a gift. That sounds like a loan. Ashley's face twisted in frustration. Oh, come on. Everyone says stuff like that when they need money. It doesn't mean you actually have to. She stopped herself mid-sentence. But it was too late. Her expression shifted as she realized what she had just admitted. I let the silence stretch between us, waiting to see if she would backpedal, try to lie her way out of it. Instead, she took a deep breath, squared her shoulders, and changed tactics. Fine, you want to play hardball? Let's do it. You think you're going to win this? You think some judge is going to feel sorry for you? You have a great job, a great life. I was struggling, Lauren. I needed help. What do you even need that money for? You don't even have a mortgage. You're still in this little apartment. I felt something deep in my chest snap. The audacity of her, standing in my home, calling it little, after she had stolen the future I had been saving for. My voice came out cold, razor sharp. The money I lent you was for my down payment. The house you're living in right now, that was supposed to be my house. Ashley blinked. Wait, what? I took a slow step toward her. Did you think that money was just extra cash lying around? I had been saving for years, Ashley. I was finally about to buy a home of my own. But then you called me crying, saying you were dying, saying you needed help, and I gave it to you without a second thought. I could feel my hands shaking with rage. And you turned around and bought the house I was supposed to have. For the first time since she walked in, Ashley looked uncertain. Lauren, I didn't know. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Of course you didn't, because you never once stopped to think about what that money meant to me. You just saw an opportunity and took it. She swallowed hard. Look, we don't have to go to court. I'll figure something out, okay? I'll find a way to pay you back. No, I interrupted, you won't, because the time for that is over. The only thing I want from you now is to see you answer for what you did, in court. Ashley stared at me, realization settling into her features. She had lost. She could cry, she could guilt trip, she could twist things around all she wanted, but none of it would work on me anymore. Her eyes hardened. You're going to regret this, she hissed. You think you're so smart, but you don't understand what you've done. I met her glare head on. No, Ashley, you don't understand. You spent your whole life thinking you could take and take and take without consequences. You thought you could use me like an ATM forever. But guess what? I stepped closer, lowering my voice. The machine's out of service. She let out a bitter laugh, shaking her head. I can't believe you're throwing away your own family over this. I held the door open for her. You threw me away first. For a long moment, she just stood there. Then, with a final glare, she stormed past me and out of the apartment. I closed the door behind her, locking it with a satisfying click. I exhaled slowly, my body still buzzing with adrenaline. The trial date was set, the papers were filed. There was no turning back now. And I didn't want to. The court date was set, and Ashley was out of options. The moment she stormed out of my apartment, I knew she would spend the next few weeks scrambling, trying to find a way out of this mess. She had spent her entire life wiggling out of consequences, sweet-talking her way past responsibility, leaning on the family to clean up her disasters. But this time, there was no one left to protect her. I wasn't backing down. I wasn't playing her game. This time, she was going to lose. The silence from her was almost eerie. No angry texts, no late-night phone calls, no pathetic attempts to manipulate me into dropping the case. Even my mother, who had been relentless in her pleas to fix this as a family, had gone quiet. It made me uneasy. Ashley wasn't the type to give up. She had something planned. I didn't have to wait long to find out what. One evening, about 2 weeks before the trial, my phone rang. It wasn't Ashley, it was my father. He never called unless it was something serious. I hesitated for a moment before answering. Lauren, he said, his voice unusually grave. We need to talk. I sighed, already bracing myself. Let me guess, you want me to drop the case? I want you to think carefully about what you're doing, he said. Ashley told us she's willing to settle this privately, but you're refusing. I laughed dryly. Settle? She hasn't offered me a single cent. If she was actually willing to pay me back, this wouldn't have gone to court in the first place. She has an offer, he said quickly. She's willing to pay you $15,000 upfront, no trial, no lawyers, just walk away and take the money. I nearly dropped my phone. $15,000. That was a third of what she owed me. After everything she had done, she thought I would just cut my losses and walk away with scraps. No, I said firmly. She pays back everything or we go to court. There was a long pause, then my father sighed heavily. Lauren, do you really want to put your sister through this? Do you know what this will do to her reputation, her job, her future? A slow, bitter anger spread through me. Did anyone ask what this did to my future? When I had to put off buying a house because she stole my savings? When I spent months believing she was sick, worrying about her, losing sleep? Did anyone think about what that did to me? You're being unreasonable. I clenched my teeth. No, Dad, I'm being the only responsible person in this damn family. Ashley made a choice, and now she's going to live with it. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding. They still didn't get it. They still thought this was something that could be talked away, smoothed over. But this wasn't a family argument. This was legal theft, and Ashley wasn't going to manipulate her way out of it this time. The next time I heard from her, it wasn't through a phone call, it was through her lawyer. Jessica called me the following Monday, her voice edged with amusement. Well, Lauren, your sister finally hired an attorney. I raised an eyebrow. And it's the cheapest, most incompetent lawyer I've ever seen, she said. He sent over a response to our case. It's absolute garbage, full of emotional appeals and nonsense about sibling love and how family shouldn't do this to each other. I scoffed. So no actual legal defense? Oh, he tried, Jessica said, clearly entertained. He's claiming the money was a gift, that you never intended for her to pay it back. I grinned. I assume you sent him the screenshots. Already did. His response? Well, verbal agreements don't always hold up in court. I let out a short laugh. He really thinks that'll work? Oh, he's desperate, Jessica said. I also found out something interesting. Ashley recently applied for a home equity loan. I straightened in my chair. What? Yep, she tried to borrow money against the house to pay for a new car, and guess what happened? She couldn't get it because of my lien, I said, a slow smile spreading across my face. Bingo. For the first time in this entire ordeal, I felt truly powerful. Ashley was trapped. She had backed herself into a corner, and there was no way out. The trial was in 2 weeks. If she didn't pay me back in full before then, she would lose everything. I half expected her to come crawling to me in the days leading up to the hearing, begging for mercy, pleading for another chance. But she didn't. A TEDx says, instead she doubled down. 3 days before the trial, I got a text from my mother. You've really done it now, I hope you're happy. Then another. Ashley is losing the house. I hope that was worth it to you. I stared at the message for a long time, my emotions a tangled mess of satisfaction and exhaustion. Ashley wasn't losing the house because of me. She was losing it because of her own greed, her own choices. She had played a game and lost. And now she was finally feeling what it was like to suffer the consequences of her own actions. The morning of the trial, I walked into the courtroom feeling nothing. No nerves, no regret, no second thoughts. Ashley was already there, sitting at the defendant's table, looking pale and exhausted. When she saw me, her expression hardened, but I could see the panic in her eyes. Jessica was calm and confident beside me as the judge began the hearing. Ashley's lawyer made a weak argument about family disputes and misunderstandings, but when Jessica presented the bank records, the text messages, and the proof that my money had been used for the down payment, the judge didn't hesitate. The ruling was swift and brutal. Ashley was ordered to pay back the full $45,000. She had 30 days to make the first payment, or the house would be seized and sold to cover her debt. Ashley sat frozen as the judge's words sank in. I could see it all hitting her at once, the realization that she had lost, that there was no way out, that she had played herself into ruin. For the first time since this all began, I saw something real in her eyes. Fear. When the trial ended, she didn't even look at me. She just stormed out of the courtroom, her lawyer trailing behind her. I watched her go, feeling a strange sense of peace settle over me. This was over. She had spent her entire life using people, lying, manipulating, but this time the only person she had destroyed was herself. The aftermath of the trial was quieter than I expected. Ashley disappeared. No phone calls, no messages, nothing. My mother sent a few bitter texts accusing me of tearing the family apart, but even she eventually fell silent. I had expected more anger, more attempts to manipulate me, more desperate pleas for help, but I got nothing. And honestly, that was fine with me. For the first time in months, I could breathe again. I spent the next few weeks getting back to my normal routine, but the feeling of victory lingered. It wasn't just about the money. It was about standing up for myself, about proving that Ashley couldn't walk all over me, that my family's expectations of endless forgiveness meant nothing anymore. I had set a boundary, and I had enforced it. Ashley had 30 days to start paying me back, and I didn't expect her to comply willingly. I assumed she would stall, make excuses, try to drag this out as long as possible. But she wasn't dealing with the old Lauren anymore. If she didn't pay, the house would be seized, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. 28 days after the ruling, I got a call from Jessica. "Well, she finally did it," Jessica said, amusement in her voice. "Ashley sent the first payment." I blinked. "Seriously?" "Yep, $10,000 bare minimum to keep the house out of immediate seizure, but it's something." I sat back, processing that. I had expected her to fight harder, to refuse until the last possible second. But no, she had actually paid. "She must be desperate," I murmured. "Oh, she is," Jessica confirmed. "I did some digging. Turns out she's been trying to sell the house for weeks, but no one's biting. And guess why?" I smirked. "Because the lien is still on it." Exactly. Ashley was stuck. She couldn't refinance, she couldn't sell, and she couldn't escape her debt. She had no choice but to pay me back if she wanted to keep the roof over her head. It was exactly what she deserved. Still, I knew my sister. This wasn't over. She would do anything to avoid full repayment. She would try to find a way out of this. And sure enough, I got my answer a week later. My phone rang early in the morning, not a number I recognized. I almost ignored it, but something in my gut told me to answer. A smooth male voice came through the line. "Lauren Mitchell?" "Yes." "My name is Robert Green. I'm a real estate investor, and I'd love to discuss a potential business opportunity with you." I frowned. "I'm not interested." "Oh, I think you will be," he said smoothly. "I'm in negotiations to purchase a home from your sister Ashley. However, there's a lien on the property, yours to be specific. I wanted to see if we could come to an agreement that benefits all parties." I went cold. Ashley was trying to sell the house. "Let me guess," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "She told you she just needed to clear up a misunderstanding, and that I'd be reasonable?" There was a brief pause before he chuckled. "Something like that." I took a slow breath. "Tell me, Robert, did Ashley also mention that the house was partially purchased with stolen money?" Another pause. "That's an interesting way to put it," he said carefully. "Oh, it's not interesting, it's fact." I leaned forward, gripping the phone tighter. "Ashley used money she scammed from me to pay her down payment. That's why there's a lien, and that's why she's stuck. If she wants to sell the house, she needs my approval first." Robert hesitated. "I see, so you're unwilling to negotiate." I smiled coldly. "Oh, I'm willing, just not in the way Ashley wants." I hung up before he could respond. So that was her plan. She had finally realized she couldn't escape this debt, so she had decided to run instead. Sell the house, take whatever money she could, and leave me with nothing. Too bad for her, I was one step ahead. I called Jessica immediately. "Ashley's trying to sell the house," I said bluntly. Jessica sighed. "Of course she is. She sent the first payment, but I guarantee she's planning to disappear the second she gets a sale." "Well, that's not happening," Jessica said firmly. "If she wants to sell, she needs your written consent to release the lien. She can't go around you." I exhaled, relief flooding through me. Ashley had no power here. "She's desperate," Jessica added. That means we have leverage. What are you thinking? I say we force her into full repayment immediately, Jessica said. No monthly installments, no dragging this out. She wants to sell? Fine, but she has to settle her full debt with you before we sign off on anything. I grinned. Make it happen. 2 days later, Ashley called me herself. I didn't pick up. I let it go to voicemail. And then another call, and another. Finally, a text came through. Lauren, please just talk to me. I stared at the screen, debating, then I took a breath and called her back. She answered immediately. Lauren, I need you to drop the lien. I have a buyer. The sale is going through. This is my only chance to get out of this mess. I let the silence stretch for a moment. Then I spoke. You mean my money is your only chance to get out of this mess? Ashley exhaled sharply. Lauren, please, just let me sell the house. I'll give you more money after... No. Silence. No? No, Ashley, I said, my voice calm. You're not getting another chance to screw me over. You want me to release the lien? Pay me everything you owe now. Her breathing was uneven. I don't have that kind of money right now. Then I guess you're not selling the house. Another long silence. Then finally she cracked. Fine, she snapped. I'll get the money. 2 days later, the full $45,000 was deposited into my account. Ashley lost the house anyway. Turns out, without my lien, she still couldn't afford the mortgage. She had been clinging to the idea of selling it just to avoid foreclosure, but after paying me back, she had nothing left. She defaulted within a month. The bank took the house. Ashley disappeared after that. She moved out of state, cut off most contact with the family. My mother blamed me for ruining her life, but I didn't care. She had stolen from me, she had lied, and she had finally faced the consequences. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Ashley was gone. After she lost the house, she packed up whatever she had left and moved out of state. No dramatic farewell, no apologies, no final attempt to fix what she had done, just silence, and honestly, that was fine with me. My mother, of course, had plenty to say. She blamed me for everything, refusing to acknowledge that Ashley's downfall was entirely her own doing. Every conversation turned into some version of, you didn't have to take it this far, or, she's your sister, Lauren. Family is more important than money. She wanted me to feel guilty, to believe that I had done something wrong by standing up for myself. But I didn't, not anymore. For years, I had let them make me feel like the bad guy every time I refused to clean up Ashley's messes. Every time I said no, I was the selfish one, the difficult one, the sister who had so much and refused to share. But the truth was, I had worked for everything I had. I had built my own life, my own stability, while Ashley had spent hers lying and manipulating people into handing her whatever she wanted, and I had let her do it to me until I didn't. One afternoon, about a month after everything had settled, I was sitting in my apartment, scrolling through real estate listings. It had become a habit again, one I had abandoned after I gave Ashley my savings, after I convinced myself I'd have to start over. But now, things were different. I had my money back. And this time, I wasn't going to let anyone take it from me. Jessica called while I was browsing. Guess what? She said, her voice smug. I smiled. What? I just got an email from Ashley's lawyer. She wants to know if you'd be willing to reconsider and return some of the money now that she's struggling. I burst out laughing. You're joking. Oh, I wish I were, Jessica said. She claims she was pressured into paying you and that it wasn't fair. I shook my head, still grinning. She stole my money, lost a lawsuit, and still thinks she's the victim? Jessica laughed. Some people never learn. I leaned back in my chair, feeling lighter than I had in months. Tell them no. Actually, tell them hell no. With pleasure. After I hung up, I went back to my listings. I found a house I liked. Nothing extravagant, just a place that felt right. A place that was mine. A place I had earned. And this time, no one was going to take it from me.